guys, Olivia here, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today is Friday, September 18th, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you've all been well and you've been stitching and making and creating all of the things. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast about cross-stitching and sometimes quilting. However, if you are not interested in seeing the quilts, I show those in the second half of my video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they will be making an appearance so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So how have you all been? It's been it's been 2 weeks since my last video, but I feel like it's been 2 years. So much has happened in the last couple of weeks. And when I was thinking about how I wanted to do my video, I honestly just don't even know how to put anything that has been going on in my neck of the woods into words, or words that even make sense. So if you're not familiar with what has been going on out here in the West Coast, we are legitimately on fire all up and down the West Coast. It is absolutely heartbreaking. And in my area, where we live, it's the Willamette Valley, and we have the Coast Range to the west and the Cascade Range to the east, and we sort of sit in like an oblong bowl. And there was a forest fire up at Mount Jefferson, and they were working to try to get it out. And then we got this historic wind event that came in from the east and basically blew the forest fire to our back door. And it's been surreal. The last couple of weeks have just been very rough to get through. Where we are, well, today is actually the first day that when you step outside, you can still smell the smoke, but the air quality is not hazardous. And it's also the first day I saw a rain cloud, and we really haven't seen the sun except maybe through the smoke that has been sort of sitting here in our area. The fires are not out, but they have managed to push them, or at least the ones that are at the Cascade Range, they have managed to push those back towards the east. And a lot of the towns around me are not at any level of evacuation. There's a few towns that still are. Some you can't go back to because there's nothing there, and they're not letting people go back there because there's a lot of hot spots. And it's just been a very horrible time here in Oregon. And they said that the fires might not get put out until the winter snows start. And so that's just very, very heartbreaking. We haven't had anything like this happen in our area for 125 years. Since 1865, there was a forest fire up where Silver Creek Falls is, and that was the closest our area had come to a fire. And I've never experienced anything like this before. I mean, the Cascades have always been so beautiful and lush, and this, if it hadn't been for the east winds, none of this would have happened. None of the fires that sprang up anywhere would have happened. But, you know, trees went down and snapped power lines, and power lines were arcing, and they were setting the ground on fire, and it was awful, and it's devastating, and the pictures are just heartbreaking. So I just wanted to say a thank you to everybody who's been saying a prayer for all of us out here. Please continue to keep us in your prayers, because there's so many people who have been evacuated and they still can't go home. There's a lot that don't have a home to go to. So, you know, just please continue to keep us in your prayers. We appreciate it so much. So that being said, I'm going to move on to the rest of my video, and I'm sorry that I inserted a little bit of a life update, but it's life, and it happened. It's happening to a lot of Flosstubers that live in my area. I do want to send a special thank you to Audrey, Stitchy 42, for keeping in contact with me. She lives in the town just over about 10-ish, 12-ish miles, and so we were keeping in contact with each other. and also Daleen for sending me hilarious pictures to make me smile, and I just really appreciate it. I also wanted to say thanks to everyone who sent me messages every day checking up on how we were doing. I appreciate it so much. You guys are so sweet and kind, and we really, like I said, we really appreciated all of the prayers and thoughts and everything that you were sending our way. So please keep them coming because we're not out of the woods yet. But here where we live, the smoke has, it's still smoky, but it's raining today, which we desperately needed the rain. So I'm glad it's raining. I don't mind it at all. And we really, really need it. So let's move along. So as you can see, I have decorated for Halloween. I don't normally decorate this early. I usually wait until it gets around the autumn equinox, and then I start decorating for Halloween. But with everything that had been going on over the past couple of weeks, I decided on Tuesday or Wednesday, that I just needed something bright and happy and fun and festive. And so I started decorating. I still have a ways to go. There are certain areas that I've changed out things, I've retired things, I'm changing things up, and so I haven't finished working on those yet. I will do a home tour, and I'm just trying to decide now if I want to put it at the end of a regular Flosstube video or if I should have it be something separate. And just set to music. So we'll see. It'll either pop up randomly the very first part of October, or it'll just be at the end of one of my Flosstube videos. But as you can see, the tree is now fully decorated for Halloween, and I have changed the quilt to my Hocus Pocusville quilt, which is my favorite quilt of all time. It is the very first hand-embroidered quilt that I kept for myself. Some of the blocks are personalized with our names. This block right here, I think, is personalized with my grandma's name. And then somewhere, I don't know if it's there, I think it's one of these blocks, I'll have to go look. I think I personalized it to my name. It says Olivia's Apothecary. But it was a lot of fun, and I worked on it over a year. And the fabrics I picked up from my grandma and I did a couple of shop hops, and those are all Civil War reproduction fabrics. So even back then I was beginning my collection, but then I stopped collecting, and now I've started collecting again because I love those fabrics. So I would say that I am about 80% of the way decorated, and I plan by the first part of October to be fully decorated for Halloween. I keep all the Halloween decorations up until November 1st. And then they come down, and the Thanksgiving autumny decorations go up. Those stay up until the day after Thanksgiving, and then I take those down and put up Christmas. So I really love this time of the year. Autumn is my absolute favorite. I wish it lasted way longer than it does, and I look forward to it every single year. And I hope that you don't mind that you'll have to see my Halloween decorations for a little while. I keep it very non-gory. I don't like blood, guts, and gore. I don't like horror movies. I like to sleep. So I would say that my decorations, they kind of have a vintagey vibe to them. And it's not, I've been collecting Halloween decorations since Allison was a baby. So most of the stuff that I do collect are, you can see there's a witch right there, and there's a little witch right there, but I do collect witches and pumpkins. Those are my two favorite things. So moving along, I have a little bit of housekeeping that I need to do. First of all, the $50 Amazon gift card that I gave away in my last video to celebrate 6,000 subscribers has not been claimed by Sue Allen. So Sue, I'm gonna go ahead and give you 2 more weeks. And then if I don't hear anything from you by October 2nd, I will go ahead and redraw and announce that in my next video. So Sue Allen, if you could please get a hold of me via email, that way I can get your gift card out to you in the mail. And then I did have a couple of questions. One of the questions I forgot to grab it was from Anita Poole. She asked if I could explain the difference between Krynick and Petite Treasure Braid, and I forgot to grab that, so I will make a note and I will answer that in my next video. But Teresa Rudy, she lives here in the Pacific Northwest, and she wanted to know if she can get the entire Anniversaries of the Heart all in one booklet, and no, you can't. You do have to buy them all separate. There are 12 in the series, and as long as you have all 12, you have everything you need to stitch the entire series for yourself. And then a lot of people, and I keep forgetting to answer this, they have asked me, has Brian seen his stocking that I have been working on for him? And yes. So for Christmas last year, I kitted it all up and I gave it to him as one of his Christmas presents. So he has been watching my progress on his stocking over this past year. And my goal is to get that finished and fully finished by the time I decorate for Christmas this year. So I'm trying to get it finished by November 1st. And then that way I have a couple of weeks to get it fully finished before I start decorating. And then the other question I had was, what kind of a dog is Freddie and how old is he? So a couple of people in my last video, they commented they thought Freddie was my son, which is really funny because he, even though we've only had him for a month and a half, he feels like he's been a member of the family for a really long time. Freddie is a Havanese and he will be 4 months old on Tuesday. And he is very much into the terrible twos. He really does remind me of a toddler. I mean, he is into everything. He gets riled up. He runs around like a crazy person. Right now he's taking a nap. And I will get him and show him at the end of my video. He's very much attached to me, follows me everywhere. And I mean everywhere, follows me. So, but we absolutely love him, and he just had his last round of shots, and so he's good to go for a year. He got, the vet said that he is totally healthy, so that was great news. Over the past 2 weeks, I did get a little bit of stash enhancement and Happy Mail. So first, let's talk about the stash enhancement. From Fire Poppies, which I really like to shop at Fire Poppies. Their customer service is amazing. And when I received my order a couple of days ago, they had put in a note to let me know that they have been sending prayers out here to the West Coast. And I just thought that was so sweet of them to put that little sweet note. So I went for many months buying. If I saw something and I really liked it, I bought it and I kitted it. And I have a lot of projects that are kitted up and ready for me to get to, but I only have 2 hands, and so getting to those projects is going to take me a while. So I sort of had a kind of a stern talking to myself about the spending that I was doing, and realized that I really need to, there are things that I need, and then there are things that I want. And so the things that I need is linen. And so I should be buying linen and not buying charts. So you'll be really proud of me because I didn't buy any charts. I do belong to the Prim Stitch series club. I don't know if it's a club through the Fat Quarter Shop where at the beginning of the month they send you the next Lori Holt chart, but that's it. I haven't bought any charts, none. But I did buy linen. So I picked up a piece of 36 count linen. This is Legacy. And I got this from Fire Poppies. I was working on, there's a Thanksgiving piece, and I was working on a piece of 32 count Legacy. No, maybe the witch. I was working on something and it was on 32 count Legacy, and I decided to get a piece of 36 count to see if I liked it, and I do. I just love the molted look, sort of that grungy. So I picked up a piece of that, and then I also got a piece of 36 count weathered shingle. So they're both just fat 8s. And I have a lot of smalls that I would like to stitch for the upcoming season, and so I think both of those pieces will work out great. I also picked up the bead pack, the Mill Hill bead pack that I was missing for my Celtic Autumn, which she did not make it into my rotation the past 2 weeks. My rotation, it struggled the past 2 weeks, so she did not make it into my rotation. And I think that I did mention in my last video that she was just gonna kind of weave her way in and out of my rotation until after I got through the holiday stitching. So you will see her sort of sporadically as we go through the next couple of months. And then this is my Prim Stitch series by Lori Holt. This is the 3rd block. I haven't started this one yet. I think this might be one of those ones that I start next year at some point. But I really love the whole series so far. When she first posted about this series a few months back, it reminded me of the type of cross stitching that my grandma was doing, and the stuff that when I was learning how to cross stitch, this was the sort of stuff that was available. And yeah, I really love it, and I am excited at some point to start that. And then I have a subscription to Punch Needle and Primitive Stitching magazine, and that came in the mail the day before yesterday. I love flipping through this. I flip through it so much before it gets put away on the shelf. One thing though is I think that I might begin collecting for like Punch Needle. I think I want to give that a try, and so I think I'm gonna, I don't necessarily know that it's going to be in the next couple of months, but next year I think I might try to get a, is it a Morgan hoop stand? Is that what they're called? I think I might try to get my hands on one of those and some of the supplies and stuff to maybe attempt my first punch needle, because I love them. I think they're just so awesome. I just love the look of them, and so that's something that I think that I might try to attempt sometime next year. I don't know, there's so much that I want to do and accomplish. There's only so much time, so I definitely think that I really do want to try my hand at punch needle. My great aunt Maxine, she used to do punch needle, and I remember when my Uncle Omer and her would come visit my grandma, and we'd go over to visit them, and as dinner was over and the dishes were done and everyone was just kind of sitting around chatting, I remember her pulling out her punch needle and sitting there and doing it while the conversations were going on around her. So I definitely want to give it a try. And then I did get some Happy Mail, and the Happy Mail came like with everything that was going on. It was such a bright spot in the day, because every day was rough, and to get something unexpected in the mail, it was so fun. And the first thing that I got was from Liz Matthews. So she had been watching me put my pumpkin quilt together, and she sent me a sneak peek of the pumpkin quilt tree. And she told me that she wanted to send it to me. And so she did. And so this arrived right in the middle of all of that stuff going on. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to start stitching this. I know it's gonna be, so I've been working on some fall smalls, and I also have some quilts that have their binding on them, and I made myself promise that I would finish the fall smalls I was working on, then I would go work on one of the bindings, and when I was done, then I could start my next small. And so this is the one that I'm gonna start next, and I can't wait. I already know how I'm gonna finish it. It's so much fun. And Liz also had a lot of other amazing fall pieces that she recently released, as well as her mom, Kathy Barrick. So much autumn goodness. So you'll have to go, and I know that she did a video that showed all of their reveals for fall, and just so much eye candy. But thank you so much, Liz. It came at just the perfect time. So thank you, and I can't wait to get started on that. And I know that you can pick up the pattern. It's widely available. You can get it from your LNS now. But yeah, it was so fun that she sent me the sneak peek. It was just, oh, I love it. I love a pumpkin tree. And then from Tracy, so she had won one of my giveaways a while back, and so she sent me this card. I think she won one of my project bags in the spring, I think. So she sent me this card, and then she made me this lime needle, and so this will be perfect to put in like some of those summer smalls, or just to use as anything. And she said, because I'm sublime. So I thought that was so sweet. And thank you so much, Tracy, for thinking of me. I love cute needles. I like to decorate with them. So thank you so much. And I'm glad that you enjoy your project bag. And then Donna, she had contacted me a couple of weeks ago, and she told me that she had some lavender and lace charts that she was not going to be able to stitch, and they needed a new home. So she sent them my way. And here is the stack. And some of these I've never seen. And I mean, really, I've only been back into cross stitching, what, 4 years now. And there's a lot of charts that I've never seen, but a lot of these, because I do belong to a couple of lavender and lace groups, and so a lot of these I've never even seen in that group, and so it was just so much fun to get all these charts. This is the first one. So this is Queen Anne's lace, which I think I might have to bump this one up a little bit. I just love it. I love everything about this one. It looks so much fun. And I did see someone finish this recently, and it's beautiful. And then the next one is Celtic Summer, which I needed this one because I'm going to be stitching all the ladies. And this one is called Ice Angel. This one is called Angel of Christmas. And these are Heavenly Gifts. This one is Fairy Dreams. That would be perfect, Fairy Dreams, for a future grandchild. And then Angel of Grace. And I love this one, Song of Christmas. Love it. And then Celtic Spring, which I think I might have to have this one as a giveaway because I do already have one, but I need to check with Donna and make sure she's okay with that. And this one I just saw finished very recently. This is Angel of Love, and I've seen this finished a couple of times, and they're just all spectacular. I think all of this in here is all beads. Beautiful. And Angel of Spring. This one is Guardian Angel. Again, perfect for a future grandchild. And Earth Angel, which I saw, there was somebody in the Lavender and Lace group that posted a picture of their lavender and lace wall, and I saw this one done. They had done it with like a maroon background. Beautiful. And this one is Blue Moon Angel, which I've never seen this one. Gorgeous, gorgeous. This one, which I thought was really cool, this is Angel of the Sea. So pretty. And this one is Angel of Autumn. And this is Angelica, which I also just saw this one finished recently, and I think they did a color conversion or just changed the colors. I don't actually know that there is a conversion, but they changed the colors of it. And then this is Angel of Winter. And this is Peace Angel. So all these are just so beautiful. Thank you so much, Donna, for sending them my way. So much fun. I just love them all. So thank you, thank you. So I should probably start off by saying that my stitch rotation over the past 2 weeks was not very organized. There was a couple of days where I probably shouldn't have even been stitching. There was, like with the Coming to America, I seriously became very frustrated with it because I would get to stitching on it and I would realize I'd made a mistake and I'd have to rip out everything I had stitched. And I probably should, there were several nights I probably should have worked on binding instead of cross stitching. But I have all of my mistakes fixed, and hopefully these next 2 weeks will be way more productive. So first thing that I've been working on is Victorian Father Christmas. This is the stocking that I am stitching for Brian. This is from the Stony Creek magazine. It is the summer 2015 issue, and you can still get this as well as everything to stitch it from the Stony Creek website. And I only know that because in my last video I linked it, and I just happened to take a gander at what was available, and you could pretty much kit this whole entire thing up, as well as many other amazing stockings. And I did have somebody ask if I am planning on stitching a stocking for myself, and I have not decided yet, because I think I'm still waiting for my stocking to come back to me, but I doubt it ever will. We do not need to get down that subject. Okay. So this is my progress so far. I think in my last video, I had been working kind of in here, and I did have this done, and then I was working on the blue in here, and I still had some, I think I had his, this belt to fill in. So I think I still had that, and then I had some of the lantern. So I think I have the bag here, and then I have to finish filling all this in, and then it kind of goes out a little bit, and then somewhere over here is a page break. And then all of this down here is left to finish on the one page. And once I get that done, then I will be able to, which way does it go? Then it moves this way into the toe of the stocking. So that is my progress so far. I probably would have been one day more, or one more finished, but there was one day I forgot it was Saturday and I worked on something else. But this is my progress. I'm stitching this on a piece of 28 count white Lugana with all of the called for everything. And I love it. Looks really good. I really do like it. It's fun to stitch on, and it's, you know, because it is 28 count, it's a nice break, because everything else I seem to be working on is 36 or 35, and so it's a nice break. And then I had a very unexpected start. I had finished Witch's Night Out, which I did post a picture of it on Instagram, and I'll show it here in just a moment. And so I finished it, and then I wanted something just kind of small, something I didn't really have to think about, and something I could just work on after dinner. Just something small, just something small and fun. And so I picked up, this is, let me get the name correct. So here is the chart. It is called Give Thanks Pillow Tuck, and it is by Country Rustic Primitives on Etsy. And so she has PDF patterns, very inexpensive, very easy to, yes, it's Country Rustic Primitives, which I did know that, but sometimes when you get in front of the camera and you start talking, none of the names sound right. So she has a lot of holiday ones. There's a couple of other Thanksgiving ones. I had somebody comment somewhere, and they said they wish that there were more Thanksgiving charts. You might want to give Country Rustic Primitives a look-see. I will put a link to her channel down below. But she has a lot of really cute small pillows and things like that in her shop, and they're just a lot of fun, and they're reasonably priced. So I started this on Monday, and I finished it yesterday. So I would just kind of squeeze it in here and there, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and I was able to finish it. I stitched it with the called for DMC, and I am going to finish it into a pillow for my trench, which my trench is right here. And I got it, I did the antiquing day before yesterday. So it's there. The bowl, I still have to buy some little, I don't know, tchotchke things to kind of stick in there to help prop the pillows up, but there it is. So this, when it's finished, will go there during Thanksgiving. So I really, really love it. It's stitched up very, very fast. I think I stitched it on a piece of 32 count Exemplar. Okay, so next up is Coming to America by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. This one started on September 6th, which is the day that they left Plymouth. And I believe I've mentioned a couple of times that Brian's family actually came on the Mayflower. So the names listed here are the women that made the trip over. And my husband's relative is, where did she go? Right here, Mrs. E. Fuller. So they, when they made the journey over on the Mayflower, it was Edward Fuller, which was Mrs. E. Fuller's husband, and then their son Samuel Fuller. Both Edward and her died shortly after they arrived in the New World, but their son Samuel, he lived. I think he was 16 when he made the journey over. When I look on the Ancestry.com for her name, it lists her name as being Anne, but there's no proof that that's what her name was because there's no document. So some of the women that were on there, instead of them being referred to by their name, you know, for instance, if her name was Anne, instead of it being listed as Anne Fuller, it's listed as Mrs. E. Fuller. And it's very sad because nobody knows. There's another woman on there that they don't know what her first name was. So I guess my advice to anybody who is going to be traveling to an undiscovered country, when you arrive, please tell them what your first name is, because at some point, some great grandson's wife's going to be on Ancestry.com. She's going to try to find you, and she wants to know what your name is. So originally I was going to change her name and put it as Anne Fuller, but after reading through all of, there was somebody who had went on, they had posted about Mrs. E. Fuller, and they had said that her name, there's no proof that her name was Anne. And so I thought I'll just leave it as that. But it's sad, you know, that she made the journey all the way over here and then she passed away. And the only mention of her is in, I don't know if it's in it's one of the governors. He makes mention of Edward and Mrs. E. Fuller. Other than that, there's no other mention of her anywhere. So it's very sad. So here's my progress. So this one here, I would have been a little bit farther along on, but I can't count properly. There are some mistakes, but I'm just gonna roll with it. And I don't think that you can tell where my mistakes are at, so that's good. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count XJudesigns linen. And I have it kind of started a little bit over this way because my piece is cut crooked. And if I would have given it the 3-inch border that it was supposed to have, I would have almost ran out of room. So the way that my piece goes, I almost lose an inch towards the bottom. So I decided instead of starting it at 3, I think it started at 2 inches, 2.5, so that I knew I was gonna have enough to for the framing. But yeah, my piece is kind of wonky. And it's showing up really good on camera, but in person, I don't know that I would have picked this linen. I love the linen, it's very pretty. But if I could go back and repick, I would. At this point, I spent too much on it. I'm gonna keep going. And if I need to, I will just backstitch anything that I feel like needs a little bit of help. But it's a common problem. There's a bunch of people in the Facebook group who are, you know, in order to be in the Facebook group, you have to, you know, be stitching it. And there's more than several, who comment on, we've all got the same piece of linen and everybody everyone's struggling. The only ones that aren't struggling is if you did it 32 count, because then you would stitch it 2/2. So I'm stitching it 1/2, and I don't know. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to quit because, again, when I go like this, I mean, I can see those birds and I can see kind of the sails, but it is kind of a gray day today, so I don't know if that's also, but yeah, it's a beautiful piece of linen. It really is. But if I could go back, I definitely would have picked something differently for this one, or went with 32 count so I could stitch it 2/2. But since I did it on 36, the kit only came with what you needed to stitch 36 count, so I didn't want to, there's been some issues getting the floss, and I didn't want to have to try to go find more floss down the road, so I'm stitching it 1/2 on 36 count. It's a beautiful piece of linen, don't get me wrong, beautiful piece of linen, but I definitely would have went with the called for Vintage Country, and I also probably would have went with the 40 count. So that's just me. But again, it's a beautiful piece of linen. Don't get me wrong. Beautiful. Okay, so next up is Moonlight Visitor by Blackbird Designs. This is part of the Anniversaries of the Heart series that I am stitching all in one piece. Started this back on January 1st, and my goal is to have the whole thing finished by December 31st. And what, we've got 4 months left. Let's not count September. I have 3 months left. But I am on block 9, so that's progress. So this is my progress so far. I am going to make one small change. So on the chart, there is this big butterfly right here. It's a beautiful butterfly, but I have been thinking about this particular block for a while now, and in order to, because if you look, it's got this box down here where you can put the initials of your loved one. Well, there's a relative of my husband, it's his great-grandfather, so no, it's his grandfather, so it's his paternal grandfather, and he died when my father-in-law was 16. And he, in his grief, he burned all of the pictures of his father. His father's name was Ewald Gust, and nobody has ever seen a picture of him, and he wouldn't talk about him either. And so in researching my husband's family tree, I felt very strongly about putting Ewald's name where the butterfly is, and then putting Brian's grandma's name, which was Pearl, and putting their names here together, because this is a family piece, and I'm assuming that it's going to follow my daughter, because that just seems to be the way that I don't know that my son would even be interested in this after I pass away, but Allison might, and it's a record of her family, and also a record of my son's family. So I mean, someone's gonna have to hold on to it after I'm long gone, and I feel like I need to put his name there, and I need to put their name there, so that his grandchildren don't forget him. And I still have yet to really find out any information about him. I know where he was born, and I know where he died, but I have no idea where they put his cremated remains. Nobody knows. And I just feel really bad for Ewald. I just feel like he needs to be here in my anniversaries. So here's my anniversaries all together so far. I'm loving it. And I'm really, really hoping that I will have this done by the end of the month. I'm actually going to make it a priority to have this block finished by the end of the month. And then, let me look really fast. So it looks like October, November, December go all together, and then there's a bonus block at the end. And what I need to do is I need to somehow pick up a little bit of speed and get September, October done fairly close to each other, and November and December done very close to each other, so that way in December I'm working on the bonus block. I don't know if it's doable, but I'm really gonna try. I have to make this my priority so that I can get it finished by December 31st, because I already have a New Year, New Start that I want to start on January 1st. So I get a lot of questions about how do I Do I make a working copy? What do I do to sort of stay organized while I'm stitching it? So I don't make a working copy of the chart. What I do make a working copy of is the floss list. And I write in what I've changed it to, and then if I make any changes as I'm stitching it, I will write it up here so that way when somebody asks me, I can let them know. Usually it's a color change. I've added a color where there wasn't supposed to be that particular color. So I make a working copy of the floss list, and then I keep it with the chart. That way, you know, like a couple of weeks, you know, after I finished working on it, if somebody asks me a question, I can reference, I can reference any notes that I might have made on this particular block. And then this is my color palette. So I did go ahead and I pulled the colors for the butterfly, even though I have decided to eliminate it, but some of the colors of the butterfly are used in the heart, which is down here. So that's what I definitely darkened them up. Sorry about that. I haven't been talking this much, so I can feel my vocal cords in there straining, and then of course with all of the unhealthy smoke in our area, my throat is definitely, it's struggling today. So hopefully I won't, I feel like I'm gonna just keep coughing, so I apologize. I'll do my best to pause the video when I feel like a cough's coming on. Anyway, so these are the colors that I'm using. I made them darker, and the butterfly, I did change a lot of the colors. I believe that if I had kept the butterfly, it was going to be not the green, but these two colors would have been the butterfly. So, but yeah, originally, I was just going to put Ewald's initials, but I just feel like I need to have his whole name spelled out. And then down in the bracket here, I'm going to put when they got married. So, and I feel better about having both of their names together on the same, just together, because again, my children, I want them to know who their grandparents were. So, or their great-grandparents. Yeah, so it would be my husband's grandparents and then my children's great-grandparents. I feel like it's important to have them together on the sampler where you can see their full names. I had a finish this past week. I think it was this past week. It was either this past week or late last week. And that was Witch's Night Out by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. I started this probably a month or a little bit over a month, and I was just kind of working on it here and there, and I went ahead and I fully finished it into a pillow. And the trim is by Lady Dot Creates. I think it was called Jack, and I stitched it with Called For Everything on a piece of 36 count Legacy. No, it was a mystery linen, and I think it might have said antique cotton. I don't remember. But it was just it was a piece of linen that Dora had sent me, and it was just the perfect size for a little small like this. I used some Civil War reproduction fabric that I had from another quilt that I had worked on last year. And I went and I stuffed it as best as I could get it, and I love it. So it turned out really, really well. I enjoyed working on this one. And the good news, the threads that I was using for this one is the threads that I need for another small that I'm hoping to start as soon as I finish the tree from Liz Matthews, and then I will start it. So I love it. It turned out really, really well. It looks really good here. I've messed up my bowl now. But I need to get things, I need to go, Michael's has that tub of stuff that you can get that's got like tiny little pumpkins and acorns and I don't know, it's like a medley of autumn. And so I'm gonna pick up some of those tomorrow, and then it'll help prop these up a little bit. And then I thought I would show some of my previous finishes. Well, one previous finish, and that is, I don't remember what the name of this one was, and I gave the pattern away in a giveaway. I kitted it up and I gave it away. And I think it's because whenever I think of this particular one, all I can see is Burt Reynolds. So I was referring to this as Burt Reynolds. I think it's from Jardin Prive, and Brian got me this pattern. And I think he kitted it up one of the times we went up to Acorns and Threads together. But I do remember stitching on it last year. It was so much fun. And every time I showed it, somebody would always comment about how this looks like Burt Reynolds. And I think that's why I call it Burt. So, and I fully finished it on a wood board that I grunged up, and then I just added some little fall this and that. So it was a lot of fun. So I have this one hanging out in the other room, and as we go through the seasons, I'll be sure to pull some of the ones that I finished and show them in my video, because I think last year I didn't. I think I meant to. There was a lot of stuff I meant to do last year in my videos, and I never did. I don't know why, but I'm making it a point this year to show some of the stuff that I finished. So as far as everything, that is all I have to show for the cross stitching part of the video. I do have giveaway winners to announce. So in my last video, Lisa Loves Stitchin', she had sent 2 giveaway items for me to give away on my channel. And I enjoyed reading through all of your guys' comments. The question went a little something like, what were you looking forward to most this fall? And a lot of people was the cooler weather. I think we were all there. And then as the 2 weeks progressed, it went from cooler weather to no smoke. And we're all right there with you, and just an end to all the wildfires happening out west. And I agree completely with everybody. So the winners are, for the pins and the scissor fob, the winner is Deanna Linkner, and I'm so sorry if I pronounced your last name wrong, but Deanna Linkner, you won this, and I will make sure to go in and put a comment on your comment, but congratulations, you have won this. And then the second winner is for the vintage needle minder and the little cute koala bear that you can hang on a project bag, or scissors if you want to. And the winner of that is Angela Bulbeck. So I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Angela. If you both can get a hold of me via email, pumpkinhollowquilting@gmail.com, I will get these out in the mail to you next week. Congratulations. I meant to have a giveaway in this video, but I never got them made. I was going to give away some of these cute little ghosties, and I just never sat down and got a chance to make them, but in my next video for sure I will have some of those to give away, because a lot of you guys really like to see them. And those patterns are available on Etsy, and I will put a link to them down below because I do get asked a lot for them. But for the 2 winners of the goodies that Lisa Loves Stitchin' sent me, congratulations, Deanna Linkner and Angela Bulbeck. So get a hold of me. Thank you so much. Okay guys, well, that is the end of all of the cross stitching for this portion, for this video. And next up, I am going to show a quilt, and I am going to talk about this one a little bit, even though I think I might have mentioned it in the beginning of my video. But the 2 quilts kind of are related to each other. So I will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are interested in seeing the quilting, stay tuned. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put some of the pictures of what it looked like out my backyard over the past couple of weeks. And please come back in 2 weeks to see what I have been working on. I appreciate you guys so much for stopping by. Have a great couple of weeks. Okay, so let's talk about this quilt. This is Hocus Pocusville by Crabapple Hill Studios. So my grandma was teaching me how to do hand embroidery, and I had already finished 2 hand embroidered quilts previously. And I think I might have said I gave both of them to my sister-in-law. I gave one. It was a 12 Days of Christmas that I gave to my sister-in-law, and then the other one was like a seasonal, where it went January through December, and each block was different and it had buttons, and I can't think now who it was by, but my grandma and I both did the same quilt, and she kept hers and I gave mine away. And then this one, I bought the pattern at a quilt shop that was out in Philomath, Oregon. It's not there anymore. But she used to have a big selection of Crabapple Hill Studios, and that used to be where we would buy them. And so I bought, the pattern was $20, and I remember I had $20 in my purse, and I bought it. It was one that I had looked at when I had went to her shop previously, and I went ahead and bought it. And then over the course of the year, as we went and did shop hops, I collected way more fabric than I needed to make these patchwork 9 patch blocks. But they are all Civil War reproduction fabrics, and I still have a lot of them left. They kind of look like Halloween, even though they're not technically, but I collected them. So as the years went on, I still had quite a bit of the fabric left, because I had bought fat quarters and half yards and I mean, I just went not crazy, but every time we'd go out, I would buy like 5 pieces, and you honestly didn't need it. You just needed 1 fat quarter for each one of the blocks, and that was it. And I probably had, 50. I'm exaggerating, but I definitely had way more than I needed. So I worked on this over the course of a year. I put it into I put it in the county fair, and I put it in the state fair, and it won ribbons. It won first place ribbons. And I also put it in a quilt show, and I won a first place judge's choice in the quilt show. So it's my very favorite quilt. I absolutely love it, and I look forward to it coming out every single year. It just makes me so happy. Some of the blocks I personalized. So there's a block for myself, my grandma, Brian, Allison, and Ethan, and I love it. It's so much fun. The only change that I did was, if you see this block right here has a couple of pumpkins, I made all of the pumpkins whenever they appeared orange. So I love it. It was a lot of fun to work on, and I can still remember working on it. But this quilt does sort of have a link to another quilt, and it's one that I've been asked many times to share the name of the pattern, and I couldn't remember what it was, and then I just happened to find it when I was looking for another pattern. And let me show you the quilt. And I have showed this quilt before. I did get the binding put on. I just have to hand stitch it down. So this is one of the ones I have to work on. So you might recognize this quilt because I have showed it before. And so this is the quilt. And this one as well is all done out of Civil War reproduction fabrics that I had collected from this quilt. So yeah, so I just love this quilt. It's so much fun, and I just recently quilted it. And when I've been showing pictures of it on Instagram, well, when I take pictures of the cross stitch that I'm working on, I usually will put a quilt behind it. And this one has made an appearance a couple of times since I have finished it, and I get a lot of questions about it. So I thought I would show the quilt and then show the pattern. So this is called Olivia's quilt. And it's called Olivia's Quilt Reproduction Quilts from Karen Witt. And I think you can still get it. I will go and I'll check and I'll see if I can find it. And if I can, I will put the link to the shop that's carrying it down below. But as you can see, it's all done in Civil War reproduction. And the reason why that I bought this, so I bought this at least 10 years ago. And it had been sitting for quite a while. And then I was, cleaning up where I keep all of my fabric. And I came across the fabric that I had used from Hocus Pocusville, and this quilt popped into my mind, and so I started making it. I think I worked on it either last year or the year before, but I loved it. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, it's called Olivia's quilt, and I got it in a shop that carries Civil War reproduction fabrics. My grandma and I saw it both at the same time. She's like, well, of course you have to get it, you know. And so I did. So that's the name of it. And it was a lot of fun to create. And I kind of had known that somehow my name was in the title of the quilt, but I didn't know how to say it like on Instagram or like Facebook whenever I get asked, because people will be like, well, I know it's your quilt, Olivia. It's like, no, that's the name of the quilt. It's Olivia's quilt. So I'll see if I can find it. I feel like when I had finished piecing the quilt together, I feel like somebody had said they had found it somewhere, but that was at least a year or two ago. So I will do what I can to see if I can find it. So that wraps it up for the quilting portion of the video as well. So my plan is to finish the binding on that quilt before I start my next cross stitch small. And I have a couple of more quilts that have their bindings put on. I just have to hand tack them. And there's a pumpkin one that's across the room. That's not the one that I just finished. That one does have binding on it. But I have like 4 or 5 quilts that have binding that's on. It just needs to be hand stitched down. And then I have three that need binding and 2 of my own that need quilting, because I just got a big package of batting. I bought a big roll of batting. So anyway, so my plan, I know my plan previously had been to quilt those 2 quilts, but my plans just all fell apart this past week. And so I'm going to try my best. I have some client quilts to work on, but I'm going to try to sneak mine in there too. I've also been putting project bags into my shop, but they're all sold out now, except for one. So thank you so much. And I have more that I will be putting in very, very soon. And before I go, I'm going to go grab Freddie, and I'll be right back. So as promised, here is Freddie. He just woke up from a nap, and I went to go call him over to see if he would come all the way, and he laid down halfway and then rolled over for me to scratch his belly. See, he's so tired. Yes. So he's in his terrible twos right now. Right now he's very sweet and loving, and then as the day wears on, he becomes a little crazy pants. But we absolutely love him. So he will be 4 months old on Tuesday. He's already had all of his shots, so now we can take him everywhere. We can take him to the park or to the beach or anywhere. We don't have to worry about him getting, I forget what it is that they can get or pick up from dogs that haven't been vaccinated, but now he's good to go. He can go anywhere. He's in perfect health. He's very finicky about what he wants to eat. Yes. But he loves treats, of course, right? Right? And he's my constant companion, and I just love him so much. Yeah. He's so sweet. He still looks a little tired. But yeah, he's so sweet and lovable. We just adore him. So anyway, so that wraps it up for this video, and I thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I will be back in 2 weeks with hopefully much more stitching to show you. I have a couple of previous finishes that I need to fully finish, and I already kind of know how I'm going to finish them, so I hope to have those to show you in my next video. Other than that, it will be in 2 weeks. If you want to see what I am up to in the meantime, you can always follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I have a Facebook page, which is Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. I will put a link to both down below. And I thank you guys so much for stopping by today. Please keep those prayers coming for all of the firefighters that are up battling the wildfires across the West Coast, as well as those that have been evacuated, and for those who have lost their homes. Please continue to keep them in your prayers. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. And if I have forgotten anything, I'm really, really sorry. So have a great couple of weeks. Freddie, say bye. He's crazy. But are you ramping up? Okay. All right, we're gonna go now. Bye, guys.